So we are here with Dr. Jodie Solberg with Nurturing the Child Within, about prenatal bonding, something we need to learn more about it. And she's going to present this amazing information at the upcoming Mid-America Conference in Chicago Metro, October 17, 18, 19. So you all have to come and listen to this presentation, and most importantly, meet this wonderful person, Dr. Jodie Solberg. So Jodie, please tell us a little bit more about prenatal bonding.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Carmen. So prenatal bonding is something that not a lot of people think about. We, focus so much on what happens after we're on the outside of the world, but it really does form our earliest experiences, our earliest memories, our earliest learning, and everything about who we are. And so when I'm talking about kind of that child within, we're going all the way back to those earliest womb time type of experiences and how that formed our beliefs and our programming of who we are, how we relate to others and relationship, and how we move through the world. It is really an incredible piece of psychology, pre and perinatal psychology, that has really only been discovered in the last about 40, 50 years, just with technology and how we're able to learn more and study those earliest experiences. And they've been able to follow people throughout their lives and see how those experiences shape us as adults.
Oh, wow. So in the studies that they've done, did they incorporate ultrasound or in
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And that's really why pre and perinatal psychology became a bigger type of research platform, was because of things like ultrasound, because it was in the 70s and 80s when technology moved forward that they were really able to study a baby in the womb in their natural habitat and see how much they were able to feel and respond and react. And they figured out that we weren't just like this blank slate when we were born. That's what they used to think. The traditional pediatrics texts prior to that thought that, we really didn't have any experiences that stuck with us. And of course, even back then too, they thought that people didn't have memories until they were 3 years old or more. And that's just not true. We actually do have memories. They're just not the verbal memories from when we were able to explain those, but we still store all of those memories from the womb and from those earliest experiences in our subconscious minds and in our bodies. And so that's how they continue to affect us, because when we're so young, we're like little subconscious sponges. We're taking absolutely everything in. And even in the womb, they found that we have all of our senses. We can hear and see and taste and smell, and all of those hormones, all the neuropeptides, all those chemicals from the mother are affecting us, but we can also hear and respond differently and interact a lot more than they thought. And so, those earliest times often are things that can set us up, either in a positive way or a potentially negative way for the rest of our lives.
Oh, absolutely. But I want to point out that we knew about this well before science came out to tell us that this is happening. So we knew. I mean, we have something called rebirthing, just doing a regression into rebirthing, going back into the womb and solve whatever problems in the subconscious. But I'm very happy to see that the science, it's catching up with this, and it's able to show how the baby in a womb is feeling, and its experiences is experiencing those senses, just like as it would be out of the womb. So I see this is of tremendous importance for the mothers carrying the child, because you're right, we prepare and we worry so much about what happens after the birth, but what happens during the pregnancy is also very, very important. Because we know women that are abused during pregnancy, the child that comes after that, it's going to have some problems.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So when we're talking about, like you said, that's been known in many cultures and in holistic wellness. But yeah, modern science has caught up, which is good. But it's still not as widely talked about or known or and discussed, which really it needs to be.
Well,
Right. That
you're helping us now. You
yeah.
are doing a great, amazing work to bring this to our attention, to
Mhm.
educate us that this is possible and what the benefits of this are. So, thank you for doing this.
Oh, thank you for having me to talk about it. It's something where I think more of us need to talk about that. Like you said, in hypnotherapy, we do a lot of rebirthing, regression, reparenting. Those types of things are important because we realize that the roots often go all the way back. And,
Mhm.
there's a huge opportunity for us to help people who've been carrying these things for decades throughout their lives. And so we can make such a huge impact, but spreading that awareness is key. And so, absolutely, I'm going to be talking about the prenatal bonding work that I do with people who are expecting. So, I do work with people around pregnancy, fertility, birth, and beyond, but also how, as adults, often a lot of these adult habits and patterns and cycles are things that we're playing out from when we were much younger. They're just adult versions of that. And so we're going to dive into both in my presentation. So we're going to talk about those earliest experiences before a child is born, but also that it's never too late to be able to go back and do that work. And so I think that's going to be really empowering for people because a lot of people have had not the most positive womb or birth experiences. They might have had trauma
Yeah.
in those birth experiences, and they didn't realize that that's what it was or that that stuck with them. When I'm working with adults and we're talking about that, a lot of them don't really know about those earliest experiences. And when they start to either ask and get that outside perspective of it, and or go within and find their own experience of it, they really were surprised because they didn't obviously have those conscious memories. And
Mhm.
so, realizing that those things have been stored in their subconscious and in their bodies for so long and being able to release those is very, very impactful and profound for them.
It is, and I do work with this to some degree, and in my alchemical regression, that is something that is a not a technique, that is a part of the alchemical regression, going back to heal those old archetypes, that we work with the past seven mothers survival mechanism.
Seven generations.
Seven
Yeah.
generations, yeah. And if you think about it, a woman when is pregnant, she unconsciously, although she's happy with, well, most of them, although
Yeah.
she's happy with a child, there is a subconsciously a survival mechanism, that is everything all right? Is the baby all right? Is she doing what needs to be done all right? So there's two wonderful beings being affected, and this,
Mhm.
you bringing this out to the awareness and working specifically with this, that needs to be known.
Yeah. Well, like you said, we don't realize there's something called epigenetics. We don't realize how much we carry from the generations before us. When a let's say a woman, right, is um, in the womb, and so we have a pregnancy, she already has all of those eggs within her. So her mother, right, is carrying her and her future children.
Mhm. Mhm.
And, men aren't discounted either. So, the sperm and the eggs carry all of those seven generations on both sides. And
Mhm.
so when we're talking about these memories, we can have that generational trauma. We can have generational cycles and patterns within us. And so we have that from nature. We also get that from nurture too.
Mhm.
So, we carry the genetics, and then we also have how was the reaction of the parents to the pregnancy? How was the interaction with the baby during that time? What was the atmosphere like? Was there stress? Was there trauma?
Mhm.
What happened during the birthing experience? And that's a big topic because those birthing experiences can also be cycles and patterns that play out from both parents. And so, absolutely, when we're working with an individual, we have to realize that we're working with their experience all the way from conception forward and those 7 generations of their family. And when you work with an individual, you then are impacting at least 7 generations forward as well. And so it's such a gift and a privilege to be able to work with people and realize that there's a ripple effect far beyond what we will ever realize in our lifetimes.
That's wonderful, wonderful work. And you're right, it's so important to work with the birthing experience, because giving birth is a traumatic experience. Now, the creator has gifted the woman's body with releasing a lot of oxytocins during the birth. So the human can handle and can go through that trauma, but very few women think about giving birth as traumatic, but mostly they handle the joy of and the care of handling the baby coming
Mhm.
out. But I do have enough clients that I have to work on that trauma.
Absolutely. And, we can help to resolve that past trauma and also help prevent. So, in the work that I do, a lot of the prenatal bonding work, and I also do hypnobirthing, is helping people to release those past traumas,
Mhm.
fears, negative associations, and beliefs around birthing, and be able to learn tools like self hypnosis and all these relaxation and breathing techniques, but also connection, and that prenatal bonding work helps to prevent that, helps them feel
Mhm.
educated and informed and empowered, and like they can be fully present in their experience and share in that experience with their child and make it a more positive one, because it doesn't have to be traumatic. A lot of the trauma comes from the medicalization. It comes from, the pain concept that we're always reinforcing in our society. It comes from the fear that is put into people, and it's not well known because we see what's on television where everything's an emergency and everything
Uh-huh. Mhm.
seems like it needs to be that way. That when somebody feels like they are in the driver's seat of their experience and they have those tools and resources to make it a more positive, bonding, connected type of experience, connected with their body and connected with their baby, and they can get mentally and emotionally prepared for that experience, it can be a really wonderful, beautiful thing. And again, that sets up that next generation in such a positive way. So, with that prenatal bonding, we're not just preparing the mother, we're preparing the baby as
Yeah.
well for them to be able to work together and have that more positive birthing experience, because like you said, we don't talk enough about how much trauma there is. At least a third of people actually report that they felt like the birth was traumatic of their children.
Yes.
And a lot of people come to me because they say, I had this traumatic experience. That's not what I want with the next one. Or, they feel they have that fear and anxiety and it's their first and they don't know what to expect. And I have had people too come to me and say, I don't know what happened, but with my last one, I got in the zone and
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I don't know how to recreate that. Can you help me do that?
Mhm.
Absolutely, because we
Mhm.
can go deep within and go into a self-hypnotic state,
Yes.
and that place of deep relaxation and connection And that can be extremely supportive. And so it's a big topic. I'm excited to condense some of this down and give people, some insight and some, wisdom, and help them to think a new thought in this presentation, to think about with their clients exactly what you were saying, Carmen, is think about the generations that have come before, and think about doing the regressions, think about doing the rebirthing and the reparenting of themselves, and go through those experiences with people, because again, it's not widely enough known how impactful that can be for someone. We don't just stop at birth. We can go before that.
Correct. So let me show, I'm going to share the screen right now. This is where we're going to be October 17, 19 this year, 2025, in Chicago Metro Arlington Heights. And we're going to have over 100 presentation, 27 vendor booths, which I'm going to have a vendor booth.
I'll have one too.
Yes, you, great. People come from all over United States, and some come from Europe, and we're going to have some famous people over there, including Jodie Solberg and Carmen Sauchuk. And here is, you can learn more about Jodie on her website, on her hypnosis speaker details, and you can read. She's going to give a presentation on Saturday, October 18 at 3 p.m. in this room. That's a wonderful room. I am familiar with the venue, and you can learn more about this presentation right here, and then a little bit more about Jodie, and get your ticket. Don't miss out. We only have 17 days, so definitely get your ticket and come see Jodie October 17, 18, 19 in Arlington Heights. So Jodie, it was a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you at the conference, and I'll see you then.
Thanks so much.